Hey, what is going on, crowdfunding fans? It is the brain of the mainframe, Nile Scala, here with another fantastic episode of Crowdfunding Comics with the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Billy Tucci. Billy, how we doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing pretty terrific. I don't know if you're a Yankee fan, but the Yankees are now, are they, 14 and 11?
14 and 11.
14 and 11, man. They were below 500. A few like last week, and they just been on a tear. So I'm pretty happy about it. And also, my New York Islanders were, for those of you that follow the NHL playoffs, are a little bit below. They're behind the Carolina Hurricanes, 2-0 in the playoffs, but they dominated both games. So really excited about it, but not as excited as I am about to dream a little dream tonight.
Yes.
I think this is one of for those of you out there. We've had some superstars on this on our show on Crowdfunding Comics. We've had people that have made millions of dollars in comics, have sold millions of copies, have been in the industry for 30 years or plus, and then we've had fans on last night. We had a little show with fans talking about Avengers to get the fans' point of view, which I thought was wonderful.
That was such a good time. I can't wait to do our next one.
Yep, but here what we're about at Crowdfunding Comics is that we want to talk about comics and crowdfunding and projects we like and projects we find interesting. And this has to be one of the coolest self-published, creator-owned projects I've heard in a long time. And we both were over the moon to have our next guest, Mr. Eric S. Hawkins, whom I like to refer to as ES. So welcome, ES.
Welcome. What's going on, Eric? How are we doing tonight?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Oh, it's our pleasure, and it's great to have you. I know a lot of so before we start, and let's say again, we've had people that have done, who've been in the industry for 25 plus years. The majority of our guests have been such, but you're relatively new, especially to the crowdfunding thing, to the self-publishing thing, to the creator-owned thing. So, would you mind giving the people out there, say hello to our friends out there in YouTube land, and tell them about yourself, please.
Hello, everybody. Hey, I'm pretty new to doing comics, period, even though I do look like I've been around for a long time. I'm a little
But is it true you just turned 28, right?
29.
29. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I started doing some independent comic books about 5 years ago, right after I came up with the idea for the Zombieful World of OZ, but I wanted to get some sequential work under my belt before I started jumping into it and getting it finished up.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I think, again, the title, The Zombieful World of OZ. And have you always been a fan of The Wizard of Oz? Tell us about your journey, your own personal yellow brick road, where you became friends with Mr. Baum, and how you ended up here on this show with Dream a Little Dream, Part 1. Your very first. Well, I don't know if it's your very first. The first one I've seen, because I'm new to all this as well. Mm-hmm. But the very first issue of the Zombieful World of Oz. So please, if you can give us a little backdrop, because I just think this is a home run.
Actually. So, but I just want to actually interject really quick. So, now, some of you guys may know a guy named Brian K. Morris, and now you've worked quite a bit with Brian before launching this, and I think he actually had, because this is going to actually lead into your Zombieful World of Oz, is really, actually, let's first talk about how you and Brian met up and how you started working with him on other projects and things that led you up to Zombieful World of Oz.
Okay, yeah, definitely. It was about 5 years ago. I was wanting to do the Zombieful World of Oz, and like I said, I wanted to get some more sequential art under my belt before I started diving into it. So I went out to digitalwebbing.com, where it's a community of artists and writers looking for artists and writers. Well, I found Sean Delaney out there, who was wanting to put together a book to benefit the Superman celebration in Metropolis, Illinois. They have every year. Mm-hmm. And the proceeds of the book would go to the repair the theater down there and renovate it. That's been in disrepair for a while. So I sent him some of my artwork. He sent it back, said he really liked it. Then he got a hold of Brian, who was going to write one of the stories in that book. Mm-hmm. Brian got a hold of me. He sent me his script. I did some quick layouts for him, sent it back. He liked it. We put a book together. It came out was sold just at the Superman Celebration, just to raise money for the theater down there.
Mm-hmm.
So then about a year later, Brian got a hold of me. He wanted to relaunch Spencer Spook, who's a ghost, kind of like Casper, but maybe he has a little more attitude. He actually predates Casper, I think, by a couple of years.
I think by 4 years, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
Yep. So Spencer Spook, and this is the cover right here that Eric had done for the. I actually have this because this was a Kickstarter. What, Eric? About a year ago?
Almost exactly a year.
Almost exactly a year ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did 2 stories in there. Then we reprinted the very first appearance of Spencer Spook inside the book itself. We did a Kickstarter. Brian did a Kickstarter. I helped him out with promoting for it, putting images together and promoting.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got really close to not funding it. We started to get worried because we had a $500 backer back out.
Oh, yeah.
And we was only looking for $2,500 if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And we jumped out real quick. Then this guy pledged $500. Then like a few days later, he just backs out, or it might have been a week later. And come to find out, this guy went around and did it to a lot of people because I think on Kickstarter, you get the more pledges you have, you get like a little badge.
Yeah.
To show you support more projects. So some people do that out there.
Mm-hmm.
But Brian and I have been working together ever since then. We did a Nature Boy story, which was in the Celebration Comics #1 that came out at Superman Celebration. And he wrote a new story for Nature Boy, who was created by John Buscema and I'm going to draw a blank on the other guy. One of the creators of Superman, Jerry Siegel.
Siegel, okay. Oh, okay. Siegel and Buscema. Yeah. Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's why we did it for Superman Celebration, because, it was one of the creators of Superman. The character is in public domain.
Mm-hmm.
So Brian just recently wrote another story for that. We did a 4-page story that's going to come out in the Indie Advocator, their spring edition, which they should be launching probably a Kickstarter here in the next month or so. And it's a story. It's a book of about, 7 or 8 4-page stories of different creators to help launch future books for them.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to do a full-length Nature Boy story coming up probably late this year.
Oh, awesome. Now, this Indie Advocator that you're talking about, I've seen a few things on that. Tell us, if you know anything about it, give us a little insight on the Indie Advocator, and how do we get our hands on this? Is it digital or is it a physical copy?
There is I just got my digital copy of the winter edition. Mm-hmm. I believe there was an update just came out like right before I got on I'm sure it's going to be the printed edition. So they launched Rob Anderson.
Yeah. I know Rob.
He's the one that's heading that up.
Oh,
so he's trying to launch the indie revolution of indie comics, which indie comics are a big deal right now.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. And now, so you've done that with them. You've actually worked on a couple. So you've worked on how many crowdfunding projects have you worked on prior to your current?
Really, it was just the Spencer Spook, because
Mm-hmm.
the one we're doing for the Indie Advocator hasn't come out yet. So this is only my second one.
And this was your second, all right. And this one is yours. So the first one was over for Brian, and now this one's your baby, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
I wrote it, I penciled it, I inked it, I colored it, and I lettered it.
Oh, you
I did.
You did?
Yeah, I did everything. I did have Brian edit it for me because I knew I was going to make some errors with the commas, periods, and all that. So.
Yeah, you got one on Jeff Smith and Terry Moore because they don't color.
Oh.
Okay. All right.
Well, Eric, thank you. You were kind enough to send us a preview edition. Well, it's the first 24 pages. How many pages is the whole book?
Actually, the whole book is 24 pages.
So the book is done.
The book is done. I am completed with the book. I wanted to launch the Kickstarter after I finished the book. So in case something came up and I couldn't fulfill deadlines, I wanted to be ready that as soon as I get the funding from Kickstarter, I can have it printed and send it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this book is ready to go to print, and you've got 62 hours left. You've already raised $500 over your initial goal. Mm-hmm. So guys, please out there, if you can, I know that there's a lot of backing going on. There are so many Indiegogos, so many Kickstarters going on. But if you guys haven't backed it, check it out. It's an amazing steampunk, and you call it a steampunk horror adventure. And the book looks beautiful. Thank you for sending us the PDF for it. And I didn't know that was the whole thing. So well done with that. But if you guys don't mind, we'll have the link there, and please share it at least if you can.
Yeah, we'll have the link in our comments, and we'll throw it up in chat for you guys, and we'll explore his Kickstarter page shortly.
Yeah. Now why the story of the Wizard of Oz? You said it in 1914. Let's start there. Why 1914?
That's about 10 years after Dorothy would have went on her initial adventure to Oz. Mm-hmm. So she'd be a little older, more grown.
The height of steampunk before diesel punk. It's the perfect timing for that. Now, in the original story that instead of the ruby slippers. Now, were you a fan of the film, or have you read the books? Right? Weren't they silver slippers? I think because there's an old gold versus silver market thing, for the standard and all.
Yeah, there's silver shoes in the actual book. Which I had seen the movie ever since I was a kid. It came on every year like clockwork. And I think it was around Thanksgiving is what someone told me. I think that sounds about right. It came on every year when I'd sit down in the 70s.
Yeah.
With my family, we would watch it around the TV. So, I always liked The Wizard of Oz. It wasn't until I got older until I started actually reading the books and realizing how twisted they actually are.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's some scary things in those books.
Yeah. And it's perfect for a steampunk angle for it.
Yes.
So, this steampunk horror comic is just set in Oz. I just think it's brilliant. Again, Nile and I we were talking about looking at the pages earlier, and we're like, oh my God, look at this! Oh, this it's one of those ideas, and please don't take offense to this, and nothing personal, but it's so good that I got angry when I read it. That's oh man, I wish I thought of that.
I know, right? I was like, oh shit.
Well, I appreciate that sentiment. Yeah. I'll take that as a compliment.
Well, tell us about the characters, because I know everyone out there is familiar with the characters of the Wizard of Oz, but can you tell us about your slant on each one? Who's there, who's not, that sort of thing?
Yeah, let's start with Dorothy.
Okay, yeah, Dorothy, when she came back from Oz and she started telling her family and friends about Oz, they thought she was crazy, so they had her committed to a mental hospital. And that's where she has been for 10 years. And this new doctor comes in, and he decides that he's going to release her. That she's well now. She is convinced that it was all just a great illusion, a dream. There was no Land of Oz. There's no Tin Man. There's no Scarecrow and all that. So she is released back out into the public and starts working in town near her farm.
Wow. So and insane asylums back then were just horror places.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now once she goes back, tell us the differences. What were the angles you put on? We're looking at an illustration right here. What's your angle for the Tin Man? What's your angle for the Cowardly Lion? What did how did you fit them all into that, to the Scarecrow, into this steampunk universe and the looks and everything like that?
Well, the Scarecrow, I wanted to leave a mask on him, but I wanted him to look a little more, I wouldn't say modern since it's steampunk, but I didn't want the big floppy hat and the straw coming out. So, I gave him a mask and goggles and gave him some guns because I remembered that he actually had a gun in the movie at one point, and I think they've omitted that from all the future showings of it.
Really? So, what scene did he have a gun? I don't remember that.
I think, did he have a rifle or a musket or something?
No, it's like a 6-shooter.
Really?
Yeah, it's a little black 6-shooter, and he's holding it, looking all scared. I can't remember what scene it is either, but you can find it online if you look for it.
Oh,
Scarecrow and gun.
Cool.
Yeah. So I wanted him to kind of be, the tough guy of the group. No nonsense, straightforward, just get everything done and get out.
Yeah. Right. It is cool though. You do have some of the straw. You do have some of the straw.
Yeah, there's a little straw. Yeah.
You got to have that. That's a great touch. Great touch. All right, now this is our Tin Woodman.
This is the Tin Woodman. Now the Tin Woodman is the reason it probably became steampunk. My first concept of him was, he'd have a stove in his stomach that would, power the steam that pumped his heart.
Oh, that's
Oh, that's cool.
he actually started out looking almost like a trash can, and I was like, I don't like this. So I drew another. I drew him a little bigger. Then he just looked too bulky. He just didn't work out until I started trimming down the head and making him bigger and bigger. So he ended up being pretty tall.
Wow.
well, you'd have to have a motor, right, to power that anyway. To power.
Oh yeah. Now you'll notice he's got his heart in his chest.
Yeah.
But the wizard only gave him a paper heart in the book, in the movie. So in a future storyline, I'm going to tell how he got his real heart back.
Oh, nice.
Now, was the Tin Woodman, was he a real person at one point?
Yes, his name was Nick Chopper.
Okay.
And he had I don't remember who, I won't say enchanted the axe, they more have cursed the axe. And he kept chopping off pieces of his body, and they kept replacing it one by one with tin pieces until he eventually chopped off his head, and they replaced it with a tin head.
Is that the real story?
That's the real story from the book.
Oh,
and
wow.
actually, in one of the later
I need to
books-
read the book. Because this is not lining up with the movie. You're messing with me right now.
Yeah, exactly. In one of the later books, he ends up finding all of his body pieces have been put back together, and there's some other guy using his old body pieces and is engaged, or I think married, to his ex-fiancée.
No. Dude,
Yes.
you got to do all that. You've got to explore, bring all that into
That's
somehow.
insane.
So that will come into play. Yeah.
All right, so we've got the cowardly lion. He doesn't look so cowardly.
No. Well, by the end of the books and the movies, he's not so cowardly anymore because he's been given courage, and he rules the jungle now. With there's actually another character, the Hungry Tiger, who will be showing up too.
Oh,
So he's more of a pirate in this. He's going to be flying around in a pirate ship that has a big blimp that carries it around the air. Hence some of the steampunk theme.
Is the tiger, the hungry tiger? Is that a character? Is that a good character or a bad guy? Or
No, he's a good character. He's in the future books. He's not in the original Wizard of Oz book, but he's in quite a few of the other ones.
Mhm.
He always talks about wanting to eat babies.
Is
A
that real stuff?
delicious, succulent baby in the books. I mean, it is. Those books are dark and twisted.
wow.
Holy cow.
I feel like I'm missing out.
Yeah, really. I got to see
Really?
if I have that book somewhere. If I may, Nile, where are you from? Where do you live?
I live in Bethalto, Illinois, which is basically across the river from St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay, how far is that from Chicago? Way down?
Chicago, about 3.5 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, because my son lives in just outside Benton Harbor, Michigan.
Okay.
So we drive up there that way a few times a year. I was actually born in Detroit, and we moved down here when I was about 2 years old.
Oh,
Oh,
lucky
okay.
you.
Yeah, lucky. Yeah. Well, not recently, but yeah.
Would you be going to that Comic-Con Revolution in Chicago or?
No, I don't think I'll make it up there. Unfortunately, I will work all the time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I am going to try to. One of my main goals with doing the Kickstarter and all this was to get, because I'm me. I'm not Billy Tucci. I'm not a big name. Nobody knows who I am. So I want to start.
That's gonna change. That's gonna change.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to start doing some local shows and spreading,
Mhm.
spreading my audience.
There you
You
go.
have to do that. You've got to get out there. That's
Yeah.
a big thing that we were
Mhm.
talking, and I think even Jimmy Palmiotti said that. Get out there. Let people see you. Build your social justice, your social media presence. You got to get out there. Let people know who you are. Share your stories. Share your art. Have your Instagram page. Post a frame a day, even. You know what I mean? A book or something. Lead up to it.
Yeah.
It's so
The
important.
last couple of years, I've been doing the Inktober, trying to get that done. When you draw ink drawing, and I've been posting all those on there. And I'm thinking about starting a YouTube channel, just me drawing.
Yeah, there you go.
Now,
That or even Twitch is good now for artists.
I got to get on the Twitch, don't
Yeah,
I?
we're gonna talk about that, Billy, because we're gonna be doing some stuff with Twitch.
Okay. Let's do with our program.
We're gonna do the Twitch, the Twitter,
So we'll
and
have
the twist.
on our program, we'll have the Twitch.
We'll have the Twitch.
All right, now the question that everyone's wanting to know, Eric.
Yes.
How do the zombies invade Oz?
The zombies get to Oz through a portal. The zombies get to Kansas through a portal that's opened by Nico, the king of the flying monkeys. He has the golden cap, which I don't believe was in the movie as well, but is in the book. And with the golden cap, the witch was able to control the flying monkeys.
Oh.
So Nico is the king of the flying monkeys, and he can use this golden cap to somewhat control the zombies. He can just lead them around.
Mm-hmm.
So they've come to Kansas to bring Dorothy back to Oz because they need her. They need her for something.
Oh, okay. So they kidnap her and they don't eat her.
Well, they try to kidnap her, but that's when the Scarecrow, Lion, and Tin Woodman show up to rescue Dorothy, and they bring her back to Oz themselves because they don't believe she'll be safe in Kansas anymore by herself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what happens to the zombies that are in Kansas?
Well, they're left there to a future story.
Oh my God, that's awesome! But you don't really see zombie stories set in the turn of the century. They're all
no, you don't.
Modern or future stories.
Yeah. So let's jump to, while you guys are talking, I'm going to jump to your Kickstarter page now, so the guys can actually see the project page. And if you don't mind, I mean, can we play your we'll play your video?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. I just won't listen because it's my voice and kind of creeps me out.
Yeah, no problem.
The year is 1914. Dorothy Gale has spent the last 10 years in a mental hospital, undergoing extensive therapy and reconditioning to convince her that there is no land of Oz. She has now returned to a normal life until one night she is confronted by the zombie Winky Guard, led by Nico, the king of the flying primates. Just when all seems lost, 3 old friends arrive to aid young Dorothy. Hi, I'm Eric Hawkins, creator of the Zombieful World of Oz, a steampunk fantasy horror adventure story. The comic is complete. I am just looking to share my story with fans of all things Oz. With your help, I'll be able to get the Zombieful World of Oz printed and shared with the world. I'm offering several contributor levels that include variant covers, special editions, sketches, prints, bookmarks, and more. I hope you find something about this project that interests you. This is just the beginning to a much larger world. Won't you return with me to the Zombieful World of Oz? Thank you for considering backing this project.
You have a great signature.
You
have a great signature.
Yeah,
so
the video is great, but that's what really struck me too. It's like a Walt Disney thing.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So what?
I did take drafting for a few years. I did a lot of drafting when I was younger.
So tell us about some of these backing. Like, what is, we got all these different backing levels. What are your lovely future fans, new fans, current fans going to expect when their packages arrive?
Well, they can get some of the things that are included are the regular edition, which will have there's a standard cover, there's a virgin cover without the trade dressing on it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a sketch cover, which I will do a sketch on.
Excellent.
There is a alternate cover with a Scarecrow. He's surrounded by zombies. The Scarecrow himself isn't really affected by the zombies because he doesn't have any flesh, so they really don't want to eat him.
Okay. She wants.
It's an after-dinner salad.
Yeah. There's a bookmark. There's a vinyl decal of the logo. Digital print, digital copy, and a print of the actual cover.
Awesome.
Without the trade dressing, 11x17 print I'll be sending out. And I just hit my first stretch goal today, so all the physical backers will get a hand-drawn sketch card. So that's about 70 of those I draw now.
Yeah, that's a lot of
work. Wow,
work.
that's a lot of work right there.
I got 3 of them done this afternoon, though.
Oh, yeah, but you're really giving – it's pretty amazing. I mean, you're really giving a lot, for levels.
Yeah, I was trying to.
It's a great deal. I mean, what a great deal. And the monkeys, your flying monkeys are terrifying.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
No, I love it. I think it's great. Now, that you can that you do pencil, you ink, you write, you color. How did what's your background on this? You know?
I've been drawing almost all my life. I like to draw quite a bit, but I really didn't have the discipline when I was younger to actually make something of myself with it. Like probably a lot of younger artists, they concentrate on doing pinups, and that's not going to get you anywhere. You have to do sequential art to be able to make it in the industry. I truly believe that, and most of my work was, pinups. And that's what I had done, and I sent it one package to Marvel at one time, got a rejection letter, so that was. I wish I would have saved it though, but I threw it away. so it was pretty much just drawing for friends, drawing for my own amusement, coming up with ideas in my head that never went anywhere. And then as I got older, as I kind of remembered how much I loved watching Oz and zombies. I was never into zombies when I was younger, and I just started getting into them like a few years ago. I was like, oh well, that's actually kind of cool. So I was like, I wonder if I can combine those and put them into a story that actually would make sense.
So how long did it actually? So how long from your first thought to this Kickstarter? How long was the journey to create this story?
It has actually been about 5 years. Now it's 5 years. A lot of that was designing the characters, designing the world of Oz, writing, because this is the first time I ever actually sat down and wrote a book out. So I wrote out the first issue. I've written out the second issue, which is going to be 40 pages. And I've plotted out the third issue, which will be 40 pages as well.
Okay.
And I've already thumbnailed the second issue too, so I'm ready to start.
Wow.
So you're ready to rock and roll
on that.
I mean, as far as doing, I think you're kind of hitting the nail on the head with a Kickstarter or any crowdfunding project. Anyone out there that's still contemplating doing this, I mean, yeah, the best thing to do is have your product basically ready. Because the sooner you can get that out to your fans, current fans, backers, pledgers, I mean, that just helps solidify who you are as far as, I want to say like the integrity of the person you are and what you're promising. And when they get that in a timely fashion, that just speaks, it screams to the masses,
Yeah, and I think me being my first one, I wasn't going to shoot for like $50, $60, $100,000. There's no way I was going to get that. It would fail. There's no way I could do that. So I knew $1,500 would get me what I needed to get the book printed, get some extras out to the backers, and hit some of the shows around with some of the extra books.
Oh, excellent.
It's a bold statement. I mean, and it is like now when you launched it, this being your first one, it's all you and all. Were you nervous?
Oh, I was sick to my stomach for a whole month, because it took me a whole month to put the Kickstarter together before I launched it. And in the meantime, I'm trying to finish up the pages because I had like 2 pages left to finish and 2 covers to do. So I was trying to get those done. Then the next night I'd work on the Kickstarter. I'd be rewording stuff, then making images for that. And I was sick to my stomach the day I launched it.
Yeah. Well, it's tough. I mean, it is because you're actually putting your creativity out there. And again, right now, you're not a Jimmy Palmiotti. You're not Brian Pulido. You're not Ethan Van Sciver that people have known for 25 years or more in the comic industry. Yeah. So, and you're going up against them with competition, but you're going up against extreme competition. But that's all comics is all competition. You're going up trying to get rack space next to Marvel and DC. It's tough, but this is such a great way of getting into it, and you've done it. Your backers have come through, and they've made this a reality. And Nile and I have had the privilege, as I said, to actually read the book, and that it's completely done. And I mean, wow. I mean, man, you do it.
Yeah, and one thing I want to touch on is too, because you've merged zombies and the Wizard of Oz, but what inspired the whole steampunk? I know you went into it a little bit, and I think I cut you off in the beginning. But how did those 3 things really meld into one?
Well, pretty much the zombies and Oz. I wanted to do a zombie book. I like the Wizard of Oz. I was like, let me put those together. Then I had to decide, where did the zombies come from? What caused the zombies? Which I can't say to issue 2.
Yeah, don't spoil it.
But that will be revealed in issue 2, and why they need Dorothy. But the steampunk came from basically the Tin Man. I wanted, my first idea when I started designing him was like an old stove for his stomach. Then I started thinking, well, I want to put Dorothy in a corset. Oh, that's kind of steampunkish too.
Yeah.
Then, let's put some goggles on this one. Oh, let's have some flying ships around too. The pirate ships that float around, and and I really like the steampunk art style. It's pretty. I don't dress up like that. I mean, maybe I would. It's kind of cool. I like top hats and derbies and goggles. Why not?
So did this
steampunk for the Kentucky Derby?
There you go. With a mechanical horse. So now, would you say you were a fan of steampunk prior to this, or did this actually was it something you respected, and then actually getting into this and saying, hey, the style's actually working well for my story? Did you build more of a fan base for that type of storytelling, or really more that style of design?
I was respectful of it. I wasn't really a huge fan of it. When I saw things that were steampunk, I really respected it. I thought that was a cool idea. Then, so once I started writing the story and putting it all together and the images and that, I was like, this would work for steampunk. This would be steampunk. I mean, I think I got the eras kind of right, so that would work out. Then all of a sudden, after I launched the Kickstarter, the steampunkexplorer.com contacted me, asked me if they could promote the book.
Oh, that's awesome! Great. Congratulations.
Thanks.
And where were they promoting? So anyone out there that wants to check it out?
Yeah, tell us about Steampunk Explorer so everyone can,
Yeah, it's steampunkexplorer.com. They put out a weekly newsletter, and that's where they put it in. They put in their newsletter. It's an e-newsletter, of course, like just about everything nowadays. And they talk about steampunk events around the whole country. I missed one that was up in Hannibal, Missouri, just like 3 weeks before I launched. I didn't know anything about it. Then they had they do books, reviews on books, Kickstarter promotions, comics they see that are kind of steampunk related, all kinds of things like that. They just try to spread the word of steampunk out there.
That's awesome. So I want to take a break a little bit from the topic that we've been on.
Sure.
And I want to ask you a question, and you can answer as much as you want or as little as you like. But seeing that you've been a comic book fan for, how long would you say you've been a comic book fan?
Since the early 80s.
Since the early 80s. My
first comic book was G.I. Joe 11.
Oh, okay. I have that book. So you've seen the ups and downs. You've gone through the 90s, the 2000s. We're now entering, where we are today. And as a creator that's trying to make it out there and kind of what's going on in the industry, if you are following it, how do you feel the state of the comic book industry is? And this is a two-part question. How do you feel about the state of the industry? And do you feel that there is some type of divide in the industry?
It seems like there is a divide between the publishers, Marvel, DC, and the fans. It really does. I mean, I think they're publishing books that some people just don't want, and they just want to keep forcing it on people. I like getting sketch covers because I like drawing on them. And I think it was about last year I went into one of the comic shops I frequent, and I said, hey, do you get any new ones in lately? And he goes, no, we got some DC ones, but we haven't got Marvel ones because they won't take anything back. We don't sell anymore. They used to have a return program, and now they don't. So we just don't order enough to get the sketch covers in anymore. So it seems like, even between the comic shops, the fans, and the publishers, there's a big divide happening, which I think is causing a lot of people to create independent comics now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And go ahead, Billy. My apologies.
No. I just feel that, that happened in the late 80s and into the 90s. When there was the boom, and then, of course, there was this gluttony of it. Then it was a lot easier to make comics, too. Because you had Diamond comic distributors, which you still have. You had Heroes World, which is another distributor. You have Capital City. And for the most part, you just sent them an ad. You know what I mean? And they did a lot of the promoting. Today, now, like you said, it took you a month to prepare for this Kickstarter because you're not only a penciler, which is a full-time job, and an inker, which is a full-time job, and a letterer, which is a full-time job, and a production manager is a full-time job, and a colorist is a full-time job. You have an editor, but you're also now a promoter and a publisher. Yeah. Those are full-time jobs. So you're wearing many, derbies and cool steampunk hats. So it's easier in a way to get your content out there because of social media, but at the same point, I feel that it's tougher because of all the competition within social media. But if you work as you're doing, and right, you got to bust your ass. You know what it is, and I think that there is a divide, and I think the fans are really gravitating towards that, towards more creator-owned properties, because they see the passion. And just like you've been reading comics since the 80s. Nile was born, I guess, in the 80s.
84. 84, I'm not a boomer.
Oh.
You're right, graduated high school.
89. I graduated 89, class 89.
He likes to tell us that. He's not a boomer, he says.
You could be my dad.
Oh, my God.
You could be my dad.
Oh, yeah, like a prom dad?
Yeah.
A prom date, and all of a sudden you popped out.
I'll see you on the weekends.
But today you broke my whole train of thought. This is what happens, Eric. This is what happens. But no, I just think that it's wonderful that it just shows this individualism of us out there, and that we are throwing ourselves out there like yourself, and you're doing this book, and you did it. And I thought one of the things why Avengers has raised almost $1.3 billion is that those characters in the movie, the original Avengers, Iron Man, Tony Stark, Thor, Captain America, those are the characters from the comics.
His Twitter handle?
What? Niall?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, those are the characters that were in the comics, and they're really not there anymore. So the people want the characters from the comics. It's obvious. And they just keep trying to, for one reason or another, they have their agendas. I don't know what. But they seem to not be listening, or perhaps in some cases not really caring, like you said, with the fans.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, if you look at just Captain Marvel alone, the comic book, they've relaunched it 7 or 8 times now. And, the first couple issues each month do halfway decent in the ratings, but then it drops off out of the top 100, and they run it for like 3 or 4 months, and they relaunch it the next year again. Nobody's buying it, but they keep relaunching it.
Mm-hmm.
And it stinks because there's so much great talent out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There really is. But, that said, so what do you feel is the future for comic books?
I think a lot of it's going to move. Well, I think it's going to shift. A lot of it's going to shift over to independence. There's going to be a lot of independent. Like right now, there's a very independent boom out there. And I think the fans are starting to see that it's kind of like, I use baseball. Baseball's great. Pro baseball is wonderful, but these guys get paid a ton of money. They don't seem to care like they did when they were in the minor leagues. We have a minor league team here. I mean, they play their hearts out because they want to get to the big leagues.
Yeah.
So they have a little more passion. I think that's what a lot of fans are starting to see in the independent community. There's a lot of passion in independent comics.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, we all were like every single just about every person I know until very recently who got into comics. All my friends who've been doing this for forever start out as comic fans, and like I love this medium. This is what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so it was this cool community we had, and now it's expanding and blowing up, which is fantastic. But you're also now bringing in a lot of outside influences that, perhaps they have more personal agendas rather than what's best for the characters themselves. Maybe they don't love characters like we do. I get the feeling of that. A lot of writers who have come in new, especially this new crop, young kids and all coming in, that they're either YouTube bloggers or they wrote books or something. They've admitted to say, "Yeah, I don't like comics. Oh, I want to change it." I never read them. I want to change it. This is my plan for it, sort of thing. And people are like, what? Yeah. And then the fans don't respond to that, and then they get called names. Mm-hmm. Or they get, or the retailers are blamed for the lack of sales, saying that retailers don't want diversity and all. And everyone wants diversity; they just want good diversity. You can't
exactly
diversity.
We don't want forced diversity. We want diversity that's earned. I mean, we want original diversity.
Yeah, and there is a lot of wonderful content and characters that are diverse.
No, I agree with that. Yeah.
And go with those characters or create new ones. They try to rehash, old characters or, beloved characters that people have invested thousands and thousands of dollars and hours and years into, every aspect. This is their escape. This is their hobby. This is their passion. And then the next thing you know, with a snap of a hand, that's it. None of that matters anymore.
Yeah.
You know, you can see people a revolt.
Yeah, I think the mob seat said, comic fans are going to become the new creators that will save the industry, and I think he's right. And I think, as we've discussed, Billy and Eric, I know you frequent the show. This is the time. I mean, the time is now. The boom is now. If you're going to do your own book, you're going to publish your own book. If you're going to be the writer, whatever it is, do it now. Because this is it. Yeah. The big guys are spitting it out on the assembly line while the custom creators are putting out stuff they love. And people are going for it. So,
and then I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead. I finished my thought.
But then what's cool is like Eric can go to Diamond tomorrow and say, look, I've already got my first issue in the can. This book is already done. I can give you a guaranteed ship date of when this book will be in the stores.
Exactly.
And then they can take that and then they can help promote that. Guaranteed in store September 17th, 2019 or whatever. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And do things like that. So that's Operation Market Guard. Now you did you've had a successful Kickstarter. You still have 62 hours to go. So guys, and Frank, if you don't mind putting up, let's try to. I mean, you're really one of the good guys. We'd love to have you on some more. If you don't
that'd be great.
Back on with us, and even we had that roundtable discussion last night, which was really an ad hoc pell-mell putting thing together at the last minute. But it was a lot of fun. I mean, right, Nile?
It was a blast. I mean, it was great. I mean, it was kind of our, it was a little trial. And we're like, hey, we all saw this movie. We're all talking about it on the side. And it's like, hey, we've got some great fans. We've got some great friends. Let's bring them in. Screw it. Let's do it. And we fell in love with it. I mean, so this is going to be what we're going to be doing. They're going to be virtual panels and virtual roundtables. Another way to incorporate our fans into the show. And people who want to learn more or just want to be a part of the conversation.
Now, here's another thing that's very important. What I've learned, and Nile too, that Nile's been on this journey with me for the past 6 weeks or so, is that there are people that are passionate comic book collectors that for one reason or another will only buy from, say, Kickstarter. And there are those that will only buy from Indiegogo. Okay. So now that we're coming to the end of your Kickstarter campaign, and this book is done, your book is complete. Would you consider doing an Indiegogo campaign for it?
Oh, definitely. I don't know if I'd do it for this same book, but that's an interest. I might, but definitely
I did it for Zombie Sama.
I remember seeing that.
Yeah, we had a successful. We raised in 28 days. It was the month of February. We did over $32,000 for Zombie Sama. Then we did Indiegogo. And our Indiegogo launched 2 weeks later, and we hit we're almost at $35,000, but we hit $33,000 in 14 days.
Oh, wow.
On Indiegogo. So we doubled what we had, what was cool about that is that we were able to open up a whole bunch of more stretch goals, and now those stretch goals, though, everyone's getting them. So the Kickstarter, awesome. Those who raised the initial $33,000 via Kickstarter, they'll get the ones that the Indiegogo fans bought for them. So, there's nothing. You have nothing to lose. It's not easy to put together, but once you put your first one together, you get it. But heck, you might get another 100 backers. You might get another 10 backers.
True.
Yeah.
Even if you get another 5 backers, I think it's worth it.
And you can do like a flex. You can actually, once Kickstarter's over, and no peer pressure here, Eric. No peer pressure, but you should.
I know.
You just do it. No peer pressure. Do it. Do it right now. You can transfer you can basically transition your Kickstarter, and I'll just name drop because if you guys haven't checked it out yet, Graham Nolan's, once they finished the Kickstarter, they literally just piggybacked right over to Indiegogo, and Kickstarter actually lets you do that. Yes. So there's obviously some affiliation there with the two, but they let that merge happen, and our comments right now, I mean, guys are like, throw it on Indiegogo, we'll back it, because there's that loyalty. Okay. You're a Ford guy, you're a Ford guy. You're a Chevy guy, you're a Chevy guy. Same goes for, DC, Marvel.
You're DC, you're a Marvel guy.
Right?
Yeah. So you're Michelin, and you want your tires on Chevys.
Correct.
So sell those tires to Chevy buyers.
Yeah, and there's flexible ways to set it up. You can set a goal. If you don't make it, no harm, no foul, and you walk away from it. Or you just add to your fulfillment. But
Yeah,
I would definitely look
Well,
at it, man. You know, spread your reach. You know, reach all the markets. Don't tie yourself down to just one. You know,
Right.
at the end of the day, you're doing something you're passionate about, but it's also a service you're delivering. It's a business.
yeah.
It was about like 6 weeks ago. I got on the Drawn and Quartered show on a Chester Busby's channel on YouTube.
Okay.
That's the fan edition, and whoever wins the fan edition goes to the pro edition and draws up against Mike Miller and John Malin and Elliot Fernandez and all of them. So I've been doing that for about the past 6 weeks. I think I've missed 1 week. You get in, there's like 8 of us. We all draw a specific character, and fans come in and vote who wins. And then if you win, you get to draw with the pros the next week.
Oh, cool.
My second week, I got on the pro show, and I won on the pro show as well.
Oh, nice.
Which was cool. But on both shows, I asked them, I said, well, what do you guys like better, Kickstarter or Indiegogo? Which, it's right after I'd already built the Kickstarter. I hadn't launched it yet. And they go, well, we really prefer Indiegogo. And, some cases this is better and this is better. But, yeah, they mostly preferred Indiegogo. I was like, well, darn it. Maybe I should have gone with Indiegogo.
Yeah.
But I'd already invested the time in Kickstarter, so I just...
Yeah, it's not too late.
And I could launch it again. Yeah.
Or you could just do it. Again, your book is done, and you could publish this book next week. You could print this book next week. I saw your credit pages are all done, everything like that. So you could have that book out next week. But I think even your Kickstarter backers, I don't think they'd mind waiting an extra 2 weeks to get the book.
Yeah.
No.
And so I mean, like I said, I just love how much we've learned, right, Nile? I mean, Niles, I've backed probably, I don't know, I had an old account. I probably backed 30 Kickstarters and Indiegogo projects. I just started with Indiegogo, but I backed about 30 Kickstarters, and Niles backed a lot. I mean, how many?
Don't tell my wife.
Oh, yeah.
She has no freaking clue. Frank over here, the chat master who monitors our chat, he sneaks them in for me.
Oh, there you go.
I don't know what you're talking about. I probably backed about 300.
Yeah.
About 300 of them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So
divided by 100. No.
So, but what we like though is what's cool is there's a lot of shows, like I said, there's a lot of competition out there, and I think why we set this show up is to have fun and to bring everybody in who's doing this, and to have something for the community out there, something positive, something like I said, like
right.
Last week we had Jimmy Palmiotti on. Jimmy sold millions and millions of comics. He's been doing comics for over 30 years. Right. Now we have you, Eric Hawkins, who's relatively new to the industry. So
I've sold 91 comics.
There you go.
There you go. But
hey, 91 out the gate. You're successful. You're over your goal. I mean, this is when me and Billy were starting this, and this was kind of like it's a neutral ground for just respecting creators of every level who are getting into this, because it's so awesome. I mean, we're all passionate about creating. I'm very passionate about it. I'm doing my own stuff. Obviously, Billy, has been doing it for 25 years, and he's just, he's back in it. He'll tell you. I mean, the guy sweats and bleeds. You stand next to him, all of a sudden you're passionate about anything and everything. You're passionate about grabbing that freaking cup and crushing it. Like you just want to get in there and get at it, and we just want to spread that. Head. It's contagious.
Crush over a hippie's
fucking
head.
Crush that. Yeah. And that strange man that's behind you.
Pay no attention to that man behind. Pay no attention to that man behind the table back there. Actually, so you guys see him too?
Yeah, we do.
You do?
I broke into the house earlier.
And
He's been eating out of your dog's bowl and living in her doghouse for the past 2 weeks.
I thought he was just our affable ghost, So we've been told by people that we go too long. So Nile and I have been discussing that we have to keep this under an hour, maybe even move it into the 45-minute realm. But we've got a few more questions if you don't mind sticking around with us. And Nile, if I may
so we'll do like another 10 minutes or so. So go ahead.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I don't mind at all.
I got nowhere else to go. But I know we told you it's for an hour or so. But what is let's talk advice. What is best crowdfunding advice that you've ever received?
That I've ever received. I'd say with Kickstarter, don't shoot for too high a goal.
Yeah.
Excellent. That's an
Come
excellent.
up with something that's reasonable.
Yeah.
I mean, don't think you're going to become a millionaire with. I mean, especially like me. You know, I wasn't in the pro industry. I'm just me. So I'm not going to become a millionaire overnight doing a comic book. It's just not going to happen, and it's not going to happen to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right. And what mistakes have you made? What would you not do again? Like what was your biggest mistake when you decided to launch your crowdfunded book?
I think I wish I would have included more pages in the initial first issue. I wish there would have been more content. I mean, really, because I tell you what, I spent a month building the Kickstarter page. I probably spent another month factoring in my costs, how much Kickstarter was going to take, how much the credit card fees were going to be, how much shipping was going to be, going from one side of the country to the other side of the country, across to Europe, wherever it was going.
Yeah.
I factored my shipping supplies, how much my extras were going to cost. I mean, I factored all that in, and I think a lot of people kind of miss out on that. They don't think of all the little cost that might hit you. So, luckily, I thought of all that ahead of time.
Yeah. Now, because you know, and again, I'm giving you unsolicited advice, and I apologize. And you could tell me to shut up.
That's fine.
But
it's earlier, so I'm going to be kind of starstruck being in the the chat with you anyway. So say what you want.
Oh, don't be starstruck. I'm just a normal guy. Don't worry about it.
Because you brought up a great point, Eric, and I'm just curious.
Look at the Apple box.
Oh no, I'm fine. Well, yeah, okay, I'll sit down. Sure, why not? I'll join in.
Come on.
Hi guys. The man comes into the
Hey,
light.
it's my Uncle Mike.
Solok is here.
Give my
Solok
sleeping
came in
bag back.
to help us with our shipping and all, shipping out our 25th anniversary comics and all. So he's doing us a huge solid, and of course coming in. So thank you.
But you had a great point in terms of all the little things that you have to keep track of. How did you keep track of that? How did you have a guide? Did you have a book? Have you ever thought of was there something that you used so there weren't surprises?
What I used was my day job experience. I've been in procurement for probably about the past 20 years. Well, yeah, it was 25 years. So I did purchasing for the largest appliance parts distributor in the country. So I knew how to factor in additional costs and where I needed to go get quotes and see what the best quotes were and look at the lead times and stuff like that. So I used that experience to try to put everything together in an Excel spreadsheet where I broke down everything by individual pieces and stuff like that. I even gave my comics each cover a different part number and stuff like that.
Oh, great!
I was kind of nerdy about it.
Yeah,
Did you end up forgetting anything? Like at the end,
Yeah.
you go,
Yeah.
man, I should have.
I did. Shipping tape and shipping labels.
now, well, once this book is out, and I think that could be a really quick and hugely successful way for Eric to launch his next, say, Kickstarter, is to have a Kickstarter guide.
Yeah.
It's like it's almost like you're budgeting a movie.
Right, yeah.
You know? I mean,
I think you have to plan it all out ahead of time and figure out what the costs are going to be.
Like I think about Eric Hawkins's guide to Kickstarter, to Kickstarter guide, how to do this. Let me help you with this. And it could be a pamphlet. It could be 12 pages long, comic book size, from your local printer, or 8 by 8.5 by 11, 16 pages, and then you can have samples of your sketches, sketch out your characters, have your pages. But then the real important stuff, because I buy that, the real important stuff is itemization of everything, and maybe what programs you've used. I think that's a brilliant idea. I think that's something that you should seriously consider.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Thank you. Yeah.
Solok gets 10 cents on every one sold.
Make it rain. No.
Now, if you do launch your Indiegogo, you could have that. Say you could make it. Our goal is $1,000, and if we make $1,000, we're expanding the story by 3 pages, and maybe the whole book from 24 to 32 pages, and you can have extras, cool extras in it, like your Tin Man designs, if you still have him, of his evolution.
I do. I've got every single one of them.
Yeah, so so that might be that. Man, I think that could be I think that'd be a good idea. I think that would work.
Yeah, definitely. Cool.
I mean, by George, man, let's get on it.
There you go. So let's get this a little fun. I want to ask you a question, and this is my question that's leading to bigger things to come down the road here. But you told us that you're working on something with a paranormal character, and I need to know, Eric.
Yes.
Do you believe in ghosts, UFOs, or Bigfoot? Please answer.
Which one? Which all of you want me to?
Yes, we're starting. Let's start with ghosts. Okay. Do you believe in ghosts?
Yes.
Ooh.
Bigfoot. Yes. UFOs. I mean, you'd have to be crazy not to believe in them. If you look up in the sky, there's too many stars out there to not have life out there. So yes.
Yes. Now,
any experiences?
Unfortunately, no. No probes or nothing like that. No.
No. That's why I sit on a donut pillow. But anywho,
so is he like Mulder or Scully? I want to believe. Which one doesn't is kind of skeptical or?
Scully.
Scully's the pure
is.
science who doesn't believe in really anything and needs proof, whereas Mulder wants to believe and is willing to open up to anything.
Oh yeah.
So, Bigfoot. Why do you believe in Bigfoot?
It's probably from the Scholastic books. When I was a kid in school, you get the little paper order form. You'd order different books. Mm-hmm. One of them was Bigfoot stories, and I got that probably when I was, I don't know, third grade or something. I started reading about it. I thought it was very interesting, and it would surprise me if there's some kind of primate out there we haven't discovered or actually seen. Though I do get a little more skeptical as the years go by and everybody's got a camera in their pocket now, but I still believe.
Yeah. Now, speaking of that, what's the scariest thing to have happened to you?
The scariest thing that ever happened to me probably happened, and I've only told this to a few people, and you might think I'm crazy. So it was probably about 20 years ago. I was in bed with my ex-wife at the time.
That's scary.
Oh, God.
Sorry. I was waiting for it.
It got scary, I guess.
So I was not dreaming. I swear to God, this was not a dream. But God spoke to me, told me I needed to straighten my life out, showed me how I was going to die. And the visual I got was this weird smoke thing coming through a window like a spiral, and then he said, you have to decide, you have to make this decision, and something will happen at 2:12. And this is probably about midnight when this is happening. I'm laying there terrified. I mean, I'm petrified. I can't move. At 2:12 in the morning, the phone rang. My ex-wife got up to go answer it, and there was nobody there, but this like weird gargling noise. What? Then she turns around. She sees me.
No, come on, no.
She turns around. She sees me frozen in the bed. I can't move. I can't talk to her. I'm just laying there frozen still. I can't say anything. She calls my mom. And my mom lived maybe 2 miles away. My mom came over and sat down next to the bed and just prayed until the fear left me. And that was probably the scariest moment I ever had, because I was petrified. I mean, I was literally petrified.
Wow,
that's interesting. A buddy of mine had a very similar story.
And I wasn't drinking. I didn't drink quite a bit that night. I wasn't doing any drugs or anything. But I did start going to church a little more regularly for a little while after that.
Wow.
All right. Well,
that's cool.
Nile, we were talking about some fun comic book questions. What's your favorite comic book character, or who's your favorite comic book character?
She.
Oh, come on, you rascal, you.
It would really be a toss-up. I've always been a huge Wolverine fan, just because he's short and stocky and hairy. But if I went a little way away from superheroes, it'd have to be Snake Eyes from the comic books, not the cartoon or the movie.
Okay.
I've always been a big X-Men fan too.
Mhm.
What's your favorite comic book issue or story arc?
God Loves, Man Kills by Chris Claremont.
Ooh.
The X-Men.
Mhm.
And a close second. Okay, there's three. So there's going to be that one with the X-Men. There's going to be Born Again with Daredevil.
Yeah.
And Kraven's Last Hunt and Spider-Man.
Yes.
I loved Mike Zeck's arc in that. It was just amazing.
Say hello to Mr. Hawkins, Matthew. Hi, Mr. Hawkins.
Hello, Matthew.
Matthew had a very emotional night watching Avengers Endgame and came home from school today and went to sleep. Just woke up, right? There's pizza down there and stuff, so if you want some. Well, Mommy will make you something. Outstanding, young son. Like your hat. Okay. What are some of the comic creators that you've seen on Kickstarter that you enjoy? Or just what's your favorite comic creators?
Well, actually, if you want, I know I spoke with Eric. I don't know if you want to hold off on one when we get to our end of the show topic. You had given a suggestion, so maybe you want to leave that one out. Or was that the one you were going to talk about?
No, there's been quite a few lately. There was. I wish I could remember them all. I have them all saved on my the Kickstarter. You put the little heart and it saves it for. Yep. Yeah, one of them was something about Bigfoot being an astronaut.
Sasquatch.
Sasquatch.
Yes, Wes.
Awesome.
Sasquatch. Yes.
Yeah, Sasquatch.
That one looks great, and there's been quite a few I've hearted lately because there's so many of them out there now.
Yes, and
that one really caught my eye.
Yeah, and he's
because it was Bigfoot.
Yeah, exactly right. But I'm actually gonna pull this up because we're gonna get ready to do our crowdfunding callouts. And I'm going to throw this one in as my pick because he's almost there, and we are going to have Wes will be a guest on the show the next couple weeks. He wasn't able to make it, I don't think, during the campaign.
Yeah, he might have launched like the same day I did. I think.
Did he?
I think so.
Are we going to run it?
What's that?
Are we going to run it?
Oh no, I'm getting some stuff. All right, so let's jump into our crowdfunding callouts.
Yes, let's do that.
All right.
What are our callouts today, Nile?
So for our callouts today, we have Broke Down and 4 Dead Bodies, issue 1 and 2, Crime Your by Travis Gibb. And this was a recommended callout by our special guest tonight, Eric Hawkins. Eric, would you like to say anything regarding this campaign?
Yeah, Travis is also involved with the Rob Anderson and the other book I talked about, which I'm drawing a blank right now. But they have the spring edition coming up, and the winter edition is they did a crowdfunding for it earlier in the year, and I believe Travis had some work in that as well.
Excellent. So we're gonna play, as we do with these, Eric. We play the promotional video that's here. So everyone, let's check out Broke Down, 4 Dead Bodies.
Welcome to the Broke Down and 4 Dead Bodies Issue 2 Kickstarter. I want to catch you up on what's going on. The story so far. Meet Randy and Denver. Randy just got out of prison, and Denver has been working for Mr. Washington for a long time. They've decided to do a job together and deliver a case to Miguel. This case was set up by Mr. Washington, but Miguel had other plans. Through a series of bad circumstances, Miguel hunted Denver and Randy down. Lots of guns, lots of violence, lots of F words. Gave us a broke down car and 4 very dead bodies. Welcome to the Broke Down and 4 Dead Bodies Kickstarter. This time, with 1 extra body. Issue 2 continues right where the last one left off and introduces us into some new groups, like the Psycho 78s and their motorcycle gang. Miguel is making new friends with the Spanish gang, and our boys Denver and Randy are still trying to figure out how to get out of the situation. We have loved meeting fans at comic shops and cons and through emails after our last successful Kickstarter. But now it's time to get back to work and get you guys issue 2. We have tons of rewards scheduled. At the bare basic, you can get Broke Down 1 and 2 for $5. You get the digital PDF of both. For $10, we'll give you Broke Down and 4 Dead Bodies 2 standard cover. This will include the digital version as well as the Advocator, which has a 4-page Broke Down story. For $15, not only will we give you the standard cover, we'll also give you cover B, done by the very talented Rich Woodall, as well as all the things we said before. For $50, we have our collector's kit with our artist edition, which is limited to 200 copies. This was a big hit the last campaign. That gets you all the covers as well as a physical version of the Advocator, some exclusive art prints. It's really cool. We also have a $60 version if you want to catch up from last time. For $100, we have something super cool. We have a poly bag. So this is a sealed bag with a sketch cover that we've collected from the con scene. It'll also include 2 random covers. It could be the artist edition, could be the black and white noir editions, which aren't available on the Kickstarter. These are really, really cool and really, really rare. Or be in issue 3. For $250, you can be in issue 3. Join the Psycho 78, the Washington Theater, even McKell's Posse. All this as well as a collector's kit. What a great value.
All right, there you guys have it. Broke Down in 4 Dead Bodies. So if you get a chance, make sure to check it out. We'll have a link to this Kickstarter in the description. And, you know, check it out. See what you like. If anyone has any comments, please put them in our comments below.
That looks awesome.
It does. Looks like a good action movie.
Yeah, great title, too. And the
Broke
colors
Down in 4 Dead Bodies.
Yeah.
All right, and then for our crowdfunding comics call out, we have Biggs and Tiny #1 by Demetrios. So this is another great book from a Black Box Comics, which is another indie publishing company. So check them out. They have a bunch of other books as well. Again, this Kickstarter will be in the comments below of the video.
Yep, Frank already added it. Frank is on the job.
Frank is on the job.
The art looks great in that. I really like the art of that.
Yeah, the artwork does look great.
They've got a lot of great books. Dimitri has a fantastic publishing company with Black Box, and he has a really eclectic line of books, and they're all fantastic. Just the highest production values. You know, gets them done, gets them out on time. Working with some really great creators, and he's on his way. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Yes. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. It has been a great show. Everyone, thank you, Eric, for joining us. We're so pumped, so excited. And guys, make sure to check out his Kickstarter. He has, 66 hours left?
60 to 61 hours left.
61 hours left. So if you can get out there, you know, get a copy. We have had the privilege of reading this, and trust me, it's worth it. Pledge.
And if we may, Eric, if you do decide to go Indiegogo, please let us know and come back on.
Oh, definitely. I would be happy to. I'd love to be on again.
Yeah, I think you should do it. You know, why not? Like I said, you're Michelin. Sell tires to both Ford and Chevy.
Yes.
Right.
There you go.
They're on, send it to them. To the Dodge brothers, sell it to them as well.
Exactly. So. All right, everyone. Thanks again, Eric, Billy, Mr. Soloff.
Boss man, great show.
I'm now going to fade back in.
Fading away.
Zoloff is fading back into the
Fade
dark.
away to the cherry of his cigarette.
Yes.
All right, everyone. Remember, hey, like, subscribe. Please share the show. We're doing this because we love it. We love the projects that are going out there. So spread the word of our show so we can keep spreading what all of you amazing creators are doing out there. We appreciate all of you. Have a great night. And we will see you this Thursday with our next guest, Merritt Michaels. Do you poo? I'll leave you a do. All right. Good night, everyone. Have a great night.
Everybody.
Good luck, my friend. Great luck.
See
Great
you
to
guys.
meet you.
Thanks.
Yes. Thanks, Eric.
Nice meeting you as well. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Bye.
Hey guys, thanks again for tuning into Crowdfunding Comics. We look forward to hanging out with all of our crowdfunding fans every time we go live. And don't forget to click the link below and subscribe to our channel. And there's a little bell, you may want to hit that too. This way you get all the great notifications when we go live and when we upload some awesome content. You want to follow us? Sure, go right ahead at Twitter at CrowdFundComics with an X, Instagram, Crowdfunding Comics, and Facebook at Crowdfunding Comics. Till next time, crowdfunding fans, we'll see you soon.